Hello and welcome to Two Girls in a Pot. I am Sharon.
I'm Christy.
Oh, hope all of you are out there staying warm. Of course, Colorado got dumped on it. You've been watching the news. It's crazy. Not used to this.
Not at all. 3 days in a row of snow. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Not feeling that. So I guess, what the good thing is it's given us a lot of time to kind of talk and come up with ideas and, because we're always formulating, we're always looking at where are people at, things that are resonating with us and things like that. And I think one of the things is we're talking about being mentally prepared for success. It's being able to identify the chaos that's going on that we're attending to.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. It can be anything. It can be anything from the weather, keeping us buying into that chaos of the weather. It can be, of course, it can be politics. It can be weather. It can be family relationships. It can be our business, our work. I mean, it's just everywhere. And I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in it that we don't pause long enough to say, how is this resonating or how is this helping me to get to those goals that I have set? Because I think so much of the time it really does kind of pull us back and or keep us stuck.
Well, I think that a lot of times events that are happening outside of us, we become so, focused with all of that stuff. We're not looking inward. And sometimes when we're faced with things that maybe we feel like we throws us into a spiral or whatever, we're not looking at what we can do for our part to change that feel.
And, I think it's always important for us to be engaged in stuff that's going on around us in your communities on a local, state, national, all those levels. I think it's really important for us to be engaged in those things and to have passion for things when those passions get in the way of our goals.
It becomes inner turmoil
Yes.
type of thing. Yeah. It's not serving a positive purpose, even if it's something that we're passionate about.
Well, once again, it creates this chaos within us. And I think the chaos comes when we're experiencing incongruency.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you're in business and somebody's saying, oh, I really want your business. I really want this. But then their behaviors are not responding to you, or you're noticing that they're talking to another company or whatever that is. And then they're like, do I believe what they're saying to me, or do I look at the action, or how do I bridge that together? Because internally I'm there thinking, okay, no, man, they talked to me, they said this, but their behavior is not the same. So then we start to have this internal dialogue and this internal chaos starts, instead of simply just going to the person saying, hey, I noticed that you agreed to work with me, but I noticed that you're talking to another company, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you start that dialogue and that becomes that piece of that communication.
Mhm. If you feel like that maybe the company that you're working with or whatever, they've talked about how customer service is important to them and then you feel like that you're not getting any communication or that sometimes stuff like that.
You want to talk about chaos. We're going to talk a little bit about our trip to Chicago. Flying Frontier. They lost our luggage. That put us into chaos because in one instance, the lady's really nice. Oh, yes, your luggage will be, yeah, you just come back and we'll get that right to you and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we're there like, okay. But it's like a 45-minute or 60-minute drive or something like that for us to get from where we were at to the airport to get our luggage. So when we go back, when they told us you'll be there at 2:30 or whatever. Well, first off, I get a call and it's from Cincinnati. Your luggage is in Cincinnati. I'm there like, Cincinnati. I said, we flew into
Cedar Rapids.
Cedar Rapids. He goes, yeah, I don't get it. But then, they have to send your luggage back to Denver where it originated and all that other, which we were fine with.
Mhm.
We're just like, okay, we'll get our luggage tomorrow, which is okay because the quinceanera wasn't for another day or two or whatever. So we're good. Talk about throwing us into chaos because it was the bag that had our toiletries and stuff like that. So we had nothing. So it's like, okay.
Mhm.
But we created this thing because here they're telling you in one hand, yes, come, being really friendly. Then when we get there, we can find nobody. And then we find out Frontier has no customer service.
So even prior to that, they would say, well, you'll receive emails, text messages updating you on, when it's been received back and all of that. And no,
Threw
nothing.
us into chaos because
So,
we were like we could feel those beta and that cortisol. We were all over the place. And then finally, it wasn't until we just sat down and said, what are we doing? We're just going to go out and buy the stuff. It's not like we're not going to use it anyway. So we really worked on how do we get out of that chaotic piece of it.
Mhm.
But there for a minute, it was because there was an incongruency. You were saying one thing, but your behaviors were totally opposite of what you were saying. So then it took us a minute to realize, oh, we got to pay attention to that behavior because what they were saying was the lip service, as we call it.
Yeah. And when she was saying what they're saying, really, it was none of their employees that were saying anything to us, because it's no secret that they've gone to AI completely for customer service. So there was no recourse. I mean, you just had to wait it out.
Exactly. So, but what we found is we were listening to them say, oh, we'll resolve this. But then the behavior is what we had to go to. And I think oftentimes with a lot of us, we're not paying attention enough and that's what's part of that chaos.
Mhm. I think that is where, though, that it has to come, we have to shift the focus to what we can do to be the positive in the situation. As I thought it was really cool because here recently I've been seeing a lot of the groups that I follow on Facebook that were posting a lot of positive stuff about what we can do in our lives to be that light, to be that hope, to emulate what it is that we want to see in the world.
And I think that's the important thing is that we have to pay attention. We have to know what we can do and what we can't do and what those things are that we have the power to do. Because when we don't have that, that's when we start feeling we're in that chaos, is when we start to feel like we are powerless to change something.
Mhm.
And we're not. We have this amazing power internally in our brain that we have the ability to really change something, to identify what am I able to do and what am I not able to do.
Mhm.
But we
Exactly.
get caught up in too much drama. And, I think it's really interesting because, when I see these things too about how people are saying, oh, as you get older, you kind of get to that place where you sit there and you start saying, well, if they're not serving a purpose in my life, I just you start to declutter. We've talked about declutter and why declutter is important, not only in our home and in our space, but sometimes in those groups that we're a part of.
Mhm. Sometimes to close out the chaos and recenter, we have to make some choices. And I know that I've known a few people that have decided to get off social media for a while just to do a reset. Yeah.
Whether it's social media, like I said, it's even like sometimes even in our relationships, and everybody here can identify with this. It's like you're talking to somebody that you're really close to, you love or whatever, and you kind of can sense that something's off and you'll say, are you upset?
Mhm.
No. Is something going on? No. And then internally you're going, shit, either I'm really reading you wrong or there's something going on. But now see, I'm stuck with what the person is saying.
Mhm.
Does that have more value to me or how the person is acting?
Exactly.
So now my brain goes into a place of chaos trying to figure out how am I going to navigate what's being said and how somebody's acting. Okay.
Mhm.
Those things are huge.
Yeah.
And I think you find that a lot in business. How many times I will have people when we're working with people in business and they'll say, my company says we're all about family or we're about this. And then it's like, my kid needs a doctor's, well, figure it out. You're not taking the time off. So once again, but then you go to that meeting, we're about family and we're about promoting this and this. Then the action is different. So then there's that incongruency. Am I misread? You start that internal dialogue with maybe I'm missing something.
Mhm. Exactly. And when you feel that incongruency, it's unsettling. And I think that that creates problems. You don't know what to believe really, but I think that you can always go back to what is the actions, and in those, like the example you gave, and with a company, the policies and that, what do they actually do when it comes to those situations?
And I think that's why we're seeing a lot more people moving away from companies and starting their own businesses because they're not understanding these mixed messages. And I'll
Mhm.
often hear that, or they'll say, I really want to work for this nonprofit. They're a nonprofit. I really believe that they in what they're doing. But then the behind the scenes stuff isn't resonating. So once again, it creates those incongruencies. So that becomes that chaos that we have. And sometimes, even in those situations, they'll say, well, what is it you want to do to contribute to this business?
Mhm.
Minus the politics of the company or whatever. And those are the things we have to ask ourselves. What is my role and what is my purpose in whatever it is that I am doing?
Mhm.
And I think that helps to decrease kind of that chaotic thing that goes on.
Ex exactly. It's like I said, focusing on what you can do and what you can bring to the table to make it different. I think that when people can carry with them this positivity and like I said, emulate what it is that you want to see, that's going to reverberate out to others.
100%. And I think that sometimes it's asking that question, do I have the power to change anything in this moment? If the answer is no, walk away from that. That slows down that chaos. We're not asking ourselves that question. What we're doing is we're telling ourselves, oh, well, if I just do this will change, or if I just do this, this will change. And so we get caught up in this little hamster on the wheel thing of trying to change something that I have no power and control to change. If I don't have the power to control or change it, I'm going to stay in a state of chaos, which then gets me stuck. Once I'm in that place of chaos, I'm stuck. I am not looking at my goals. I am not looking at how do I get to my goals. I'm looking at trying to fix a problem that's not mine to fix.
Yes, and a lot of times that leads to anger. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
anger and frustration, and that's a whole rabbit hole that you can stay in and put yourself in a rut.
I agree. And I think that when we talk about this, because we really do look at the themes for our week, whether it's the people in business we're working with or clients or that, and where are they getting stuck? And a lot of times they're getting stuck in trying to change something outside of their control, which then creates the chaos. Or in the case of they said this to me, but they're doing this. And if they're doing that, it doesn't match with what they're saying. So how do I navigate that? Sometimes the simplest thing I tell people is it's called communication. Go ask them.
Mhm.
Go ask them.
Yeah.
And we just had that
And
with our coaching.
sometimes you're going to be met with a little bit of probably adversity in some of those cases because sometimes when you address something with somebody and they feel like that you're calling them on something because the actions don't match up, yeah, sometimes that can create a problem.
In almost every relationship, it will at some point cause a problem.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm not? Oh, I am very happy. Why are you acting like I? And then they're like, I don't know, because that's not what happy sounds like. I don't know.
That's not your happy face.
I know you're happy. That's not it. But oftentimes it's because when we are having it and experiencing it, we are not aware of it.
Mhm.
We are so used to minimizing our thought and our feelings sometimes
Right.
and just putting on that facade of this is what people expect from me or whatever. So when we do that, then we're not being our authentic self and we're not going to once again meet any of those goals that are important to us because I'm too busy not addressing and saying simply, yeah, I just had a really bad day. Or no, I'm not in a good place, but I don't know why. Or whatever it is, or I'm really angry or I'm really frustrated, whatever those emotions are. But we are getting so much away from addressing our emotions sometimes because it's about being in that performance mode.
Mhm.
And then we're getting lost in all that. And there's a way, I think, to be our authentic self and to still reach all of those goals that are really important to us,
Mhm.
because that's when it's going to feel right. When we're talking about our coaching, one of the things is how do we help people get out of their own way? How do we help them stop the chaos that's happening in their mind?
Mhm. And I really do think that it comes down to shifting your focus to what you can do. So, even if it is something that's about changing your situation, whatever it is with the job or anything, shifting to what can I do to get me closer to that goal and not be so distracted by all of the stuff going on outside of my control. So when you are able to do that, maybe it's learning something, maybe you shift your focus to what you can learn. That's going to help you.
I think it's interesting too, because I think one of the, and when we're talking about these things, when my clients are saying, I really want to move to a new location and stuff.
Mhm.
Well, and my, do you feel like you have the support to do that? And sometimes be like, well, yeah, but there's this, and they're like, why the kind of yes, but no. And they'll say, well, they're really saying encouraging things, but then it's not like they're doing it, their behaviors don't match. So it's like, can you kind of come help me out or whatever? No, or nothing, crickets, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So it's not a matchup. So it's like, are you really happy for them moving on and fulfilling their life? Or are you upset that they're moving and being able to address that with them? The verbiage, oh yeah, I'm all for it, man. So happy for you. But internally, they're like, you think, wow, yeah, nice that you can go. You start having this internal dialogue.
Mhm.
And I tell people, and this is something that I understand. I do not know what you think. Whatever's in your head, that's internal to you.
Mhm.
So I tell them all I have the ability to do is look at behavior. Is what you're saying matching with what you're doing?
Mhm.
If it's not, I can point out an incongruency. I can say, well, you said this, but yet your body is saying this. And sometimes they'll sit there and say, man, I did not even realize I was doing that.
Mhm.
So it's bringing things into people's awareness. And I think whether it's this podcast or our coaching, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring things into people's awareness because once it's in your awareness, you have the ability to change it.
Mhm.
And oftentimes it is through that stopping the chaos, identifying what can I control? What can I do? What can I not do? And when we have that, we have to remember that if I'm not able to see it, to be open to other people helping us see it
Mhm.
and not become defensive when they're saying things because they're addressing an observation of behavior, not what you are saying. And then when that happens, when that is taking place and you're sitting there telling them, well, you're wrong, even though internally they're right.
Yeah.
Now we've created a secondary issue we don't have to have.
And often ends up in an argument.
But that's what I mean. Those are the things we're talking about is how are we able to look at those things and make it to where we are engaged in those relationships that are going to enhance not only me, but the other person as well. And I feel like sometimes we get lost in that.
Mhm. Exactly.
So it really is that thing of what can we do to stop the chaos, identify what I have control over and what I do not. We talked a little bit about the optimal thing and about how we minimize that positivity sometimes. But the thing is our thing is it should not be to minimize our positivity. We should be minimizing that negative space that we have that's going on. Those are the things that we should be minimizing
Right.
because they're not serving me. And that's not to say, and this is the thing, that's not to say that there's not going to be bad that goes on. There's not going to be hurdles that we have to overcome and all of that.
There's not gonna be distractions galore.
Yes. But I think what it says is identifying that, yes, we're going to have these things, but pausing and saying, what do I have power over?
What can I give?
What can I give? Not only to myself, but to others. What can I really do in any given situation is truly control or being in control of how I'm going to behave and react to a given situation.
Showing up and being the best that you can be.
Exactly. And once again, and sometimes if there's stuff going on in your life, the best you could be maybe will be at half, but that's okay. But if you're doing your best and it's just half of your normal, that's okay. Then you acknowledge, you know what, this is what I've got right now. But in the next moment, I don't know, it might be at that 100% or whatever it is. But having that internal dialogue, I think is the important thing. And I don't know, I sometimes just don't feel like we're doing that the way that we should.
Mhm. Exactly. I don't think people are either. We have a lot of distractions going on, and I think that it snowballs and gets in our way, and we don't even realize how much. And I think that's why a lot of times people feel like they're failing in their goals, and that is a lot of times it's they feel like that they're focusing on something that is important and it has a purpose and that, and I get it. I mean, I understand that there are many, many things that we are can have passionate about, have passion about and just be totally distracted by the fact that we have other things that are going on that we should be focusing on, but we feel like maybe in some aspect there's an injustice here or there or that, and we have to have a voice about it. But sometimes those are just like I said,
Distraction.
distractions.
And, talk about for us here this week, we were shut down for 3 days really in Colorado because of the weather here in Springs. Wednesday is my in-office day.
Mhm.
So for me, it's just as easy for me to switch over to Zoom, to telehealth. But I have a lot of those clients who it doesn't resonate with them. So my schedule went from 8 or 9 people down to 4. And so I'm there like, "Oh, crap, what are we gonna do?" And I told her, and so she go, well, we were at 3, and she goes, well, I got somebody, let's just see if they can throw in. So she does. So you can sit there and think, oh crap, half a day I'm not making money if that's what's important to you, or it's half a day that I really had some stuff I was going to work with my clients on. And now I got to put it off another week, and maybe it's not even going to be relevant. So if it's not relevant, I guess it's not relevant anyway. But you start doing these thought processes, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I guess the thing is we could have taken that time and really gone into, oh, this whole thing of frustration and all of that, but it's not. We sat there and said, okay, well, what can we do instead? So we did some other work on our coaching and things like that. You got to learn to, it's learning to have that adaptability to the things that are happening.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we have that same level of adaptability or so. I don't know. The whole purpose of this is getting out of our chaos. We stay in chaos when we are in a place of negativity.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Chaos is a negativity. And people sit there and say, oh no, my chaos gets me stuff done. No, it doesn't. It is still taking you longer. You just don't know it.
Mhm.
Chaos does not get us further. It's when we sort out the chaos that we actually move.
When you create order,
Yes.
you will have a much better outcome.
I mean, even when you're organizing for whatever it is you want to do, whether, you're organizing to be in a parade, or you're organizing to do this, that, or the other, or for a social cause, or raising awareness for pets, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It might feel chaotic at first because everything's coming at you at the same time. And if I stay in that place of everything coming at me at the same time, I feel like I'm just spinning around.
Yeah.
There's no, oh, I work great in chaos. No, we don't. What happens is you work great because you have the ability to clear out chaos.
Yeah. When you can declutter a space even, it just helps you to be able to think better, I feel like.
And that's been a big thing for people of decluttering. But then even in the decluttering, oh, but I might need that. When was the last time you used that? I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. Okay, are you really going to use that? But we hold on, we have attachment to things. That attachment to stuff is our chaos. And that attachment can be to thought or things or people, events, whatever. That is part of that chaotic thing. If I am so stuck in my way of thinking about business, and if I think I have my way is the right way, I'm not going to be open to listening to other ideas that may be the thing that propels me to the next level.
You can kind of stunt your growth like that.
I really love, we're working with a friend of ours. And I love that because she goes, I don't do that part. I appreciate that you guys are helping us do that part in the business. I don't do it. And she realized when she tried to do it, it was not as successful and it was chaotic for her.
Mhm.
And then it was like they had to pull away from that goal of something that really has this amazing potential. But once again, the chaos overwhelmed and then didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
Even if it's a product you're trying to get, we've had a little bit of that. And it's sometimes that getting away from that negative space. Because if I'm upset that this product is not coming and working the way it's supposed to, and I stay in that negative space, guess what? Nothing's moved now.
Mhm.
Other than that negativity just keeps kind of swirling,
Yeah.
creating that chaos. But as soon as you step away and say, okay, what are my other avenues? I'm stuck with this for this much time, but I also got this avenue. It's only when we stop and take the step back can we really evaluate it and come up with more viable solutions to things.
I know that it's sort of like too when I'm working something on a computer, maybe it's something that I'm learning that I'm not familiar with. And sometimes I can feel like I go down a rabbit hole and get so stuck and just spending so much time on that. But sometimes you have to move away from that and shift your focus to something that you can have progress with, that you feel like you're accomplishing something. And that kind of helps bring some order. And so it's not so chaotic.
And I can always tell when you're getting at that place where you're kind of gone down that rabbit hole because she's tense.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking to her, she's still trying to be engaging, but it's not engaging. So therefore that creates that incongruency. And then it's like, well, your behavior is not matching with, and then she'll say, well, I've gone down this rabbit hole. I can't figure this piece out. And then I'm there like, ask Google. I'm
Sometimes that works and sometimes
it
not
does.
so much.
But my thing is, or, does it have those people you can chat with them? Those kind of things.
Yeah.
But sometimes she'll try to figure it out on her own. Not as much now, though.
Mhm.
Now you really do. You'll be there like, oh no, I don't have time for this. But you realize that it was getting in your way.
Yeah.
And I think those are the biggest things is you got to the place now where you can identify when you're going down that rabbit hole and you stop that rabbit hole so much faster.
Yeah, because when you start to feel stumped like that, then you just don't feel like you're getting anywhere.
Mhm. And I think sometimes whether it's clients, a lot oftentimes they'll say, well, I feel stuck. Well, yeah, you feel stuck because you're doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
If I use different verbiage, it doesn't matter what I say. And this is the thing, people, it does not matter what I say. If my behaviors do not match what I say, there's an incongruency internally with me.
Mhm.
So I'm going to keep regurgitating the same crap I want to hear because the action is just that it's an action. That means I have got to actively do something.
And you have to be able to identify that sometimes too, that becomes your excuse for not moving forward
Absolutely.
because you view it as something that you can't overcome because you are only so focused on the chaos.
We talk a lot about this, the importance of going to that positive place, that importance of where you're vibrating at, where your frequency is at, where your thought processes are at, because our thoughts then take us to those places. And if I can have a thought that's going to take me to that negative place of being stuck and chaotic, I have that same ability to switch it to a place of gratitude, to a place of positivity, to a place of action.
Which will elevate you to where you want to be.
But when we sit there and we don't realize that we have that same ability in both arenas, and guess what? Both take the same amount of energy.
Mhm.
They take the same amount of energy. But when we continue to do the same thing over and over and we're wanting that different result, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
I don't care what we say to ourselves. I don't care what people say to us. I don't care what it doesn't matter. There has to be what I say has to match with what I'm doing. Otherwise, that creates incongruency in others, but it also creates incongruency in me.
Mhm.
And then not only am I in chaos, the people I'm engaging with are in chaos as well.
Yep.
So it just creates that angst in me.
Yeah. So no matter what's going on around you, you have to always remember that we have to be the light that we want to see.
And not only that, there's like, once again, there's always going to be stuff. Weather's going to be weather. Things are going to happen, business and in politics and in religion and what's going on in this part of the world or that part of the world. All of those things are going to happen. But when we're not attending, the most important thing we do is attend to this first. If I'm not attending to this first and I'm so busy attending to all this out here, nothing that I want is going to come to fruition because I'm not actively working on it.
Yeah.
I'm dividing myself. I'm dividing. I tell my clients, we do it. Everything starts in your home, from your home to your community, from your community to your county, to your state, to our nation, to our world.
Mhm.
But we have to start somewhere. And in order to start somewhere, we have to shift our thinking. We have to start having what we say and what we do match. And the people that we are engaging with, what they say and what they do has got to match. If it's not, pay attention, not to what they are saying, but what they are doing, because an action has more power in the long run than what we say. So we've got to get that matched.
So, with that being said, I'm going to share one of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.
That's going to that place of positivity and what I can do. I can hate just as easily as I can love. I can stay stuck in the darkness, or I can walk out of the darkness. I can be the darkness, or I can be the light.
Yeah.
And I think when we're looking at this, be your light to get out of the chaos, to reach that goal of authenticity, of whatever that goal is, whether it's a business, a relationship, a marathon, or it doesn't matter what it is. Whatever your goal is, we cannot reach our goal if we are stuck in that chaos.
Yeah.
We cannot. And we have to believe that we have the power to change what we are thinking and feeling internally. And when we have that ability to do that, the sky is the limit. We set those goals, we do that. We believe in ourselves.
And when we can demonstrate that, it resonates with others and inspires them as well.
Absolutely. Be that inspiration for others, be that light, be that consistency so they don't go into chaos as well. One of the reasons I love the 4 agreements, say what you mean what you say, speak your truth, basically. Do not make assumptions, do not take things personally, and do your best. If I'm not assuming that that person is against me or whatever, or they are not really engaged in my business if I cannot make that assumption, I will not take it personally. If I don't take it personally, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole of doom and despair. So those are the things that are important for us. We have to make those conscious choices. And the other thing, in order to stop that chaos, is surround yourself with like-minded people, those people who are about positivity, about your growth, and you're about their growth.
Yeah, it's really important.
So I guess today the message is get out of the chaos. We put ourselves in chaos and then we think the chaos puts us there, but it does not. We choose to be in the chaos. We choose to stay there or to get out of it. We choose to be positive or we choose to be negative. We choose to be the darkness. We choose to be the light.
Right.
Choose wisely for you. And as always, we are so grateful for everybody who tunes in and listens, because it really for us is about, if we can say one thing that resonates with somebody and helps them to become that closer version to who they want to be, then we are so happy and we are so grateful for that.
Yes. So thank you for listening
Yes.
and or watching. You can find us at twogirlsinapod.com. If you subscribe on there, you will receive an email whenever we upload a new episode. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you would follow us on Facebook or Instagram, you can find us there as well. Two Girls in a Pod Life's Journey. And you can also find Adventures of Two Girls in a Pod Life's Journey on YouTube.
And because gratitude is such a big thing for us, you can also find our Grateful Beginnings coloring books on Amazon under Sharon Abeda and Christy Banta. Once again, we want our words to match with what we do. So for us, we talk so much about gratitude and the importance of gratitude and resonating that and being positive for not only ourselves, but for others. And so that's why the Grateful Beginnings coloring book collection is so important to us. And we appreciate all the support that we get from each and every one of you. And, the holidays are coming.
They are.
And what better way, what better gift than a coloring book
Right.
about gratitude?
Mm.
Or you can buy all 10 of them. We have Ada will have the last 2.
I believe actually 9 are on.
Oh, 9 are on. I lied.
So, but we do have one more coming out.
And we should have that up by next week. And once again, talk about being able to get out of the chaos. And yes, this is a shameless plug for coloring books, but sometimes coloring does that. It actually stops the mind
Yeah.
because it's something artistic and stuff like that. So oftentimes, and we do have a lot of coloring books, not just our own, but we have coloring books here. And sometimes we'll just go turn off everything and we go and we start coloring and it brings this calm. Anyway, that's my plug for the day. We appreciate you as always. And we will be back next week. And, of course, this is our lovely Tala.
Yeah.
And she just loves when she gets to join us, but she only gets to join us when we're in our studio. She does not. But anyway, you guys, thank you. You guys have a great day. And for goodness sakes, stay warm.